Hello, good morning and welcome to Winterberg in Germany. It's stop 4 in the FIBT Wiesmann 4Man Bobsled World Cup, and after 2 stunning days of sliding weather, the weather has changed. It's a snowy morning here in Winterberg, and that will have a big part to play in today's race action. Well, good morning everybody, I'm Martin Having. Sitting alongside me is John Morgan. John, we've seen all sorts of weather here over the years in Winterberg, but today's snow could have quite a part to play in the race conditions.
Yeah, Mother Nature was just too nice to everybody the last couple of days. 2 spectacular days, 2 spectacular days of racing with multiple track records in almost every discipline. And the track here in Winterberg, I don't think is going to give up any track records today. Let's just hope we have 2 heats of racing. Andre Lange, start record 5:01 back in 2008. See this little curve coming up? They call this zero because they added this curve in 2008. It used to be all the way here to curve 1. It's pretty slow up here, and they're on this big omega curve. And watch the way the sled exits almost uphill. This uphill slow section, you can't have any mistakes. You have to let the sled run. Curve 3, now watch curve 4, starts a big sweeping left. Now you start to drop off, accelerate to about 50 miles an hour. Kreisel, big whip around curve. This is the pivotal part of the track. You want to slingshot yourself out of the exit of this curve into the bottom, 8, 9. This is the tricky part of the track, the personality of the track right there at curve 9, 10. And now for 4-man sleds, you're going about 84 miles an hour. Big right, a left. If you're going to crash, that's probably the way you're going to do it. Into the finish. Now watch the way they go uphill. It's a short track, Martin, and not dealing with Mother Nature in the snow is going to be quite a challenge for the athletes today.
Well, yes, it is. We've just seen the forerunners come down, and the drivers' visors are all pretty clear. This isn't big, fat, wet flakes of snow. This is the fine, gritty, icy stuff. And Alexander Zubkov, our World Cup leader, with an impeccable record so far this season. 3 starts, 3 wins. Stephen Holcomb, the 4-man world champion, lies second. And look at that, in 4th place, John Jackson of Great Britain, having a stunning start to the season. And Nick Cunningham, the rookie for the USA, in 5th position. There's been some drivers coming along that have really upset the form books. We've had a few subtractions from the field. The Koreans have not traveled over to Europe, for instance. We've got a few additions. Some European nations have joined the World Cup here. So there are 26 sleds, and all of them will be thinking one word, John, and that is weather. Whether or not they're going to get a break in the blustering wind, because the snow will be in the track. It's whether or not you're running into a gale at the start that'll make a difference.
Well, the athletes, I think, just got to prepare like they normally prepare. And if you think too much about the weather will get you, especially at the start. You know, they're going through the normal motions here. And, you know, the people that deal with, you know, it's like, I don't care if you're playing a football game. If you're worried about the weather, you will be altered. Your performance will be altered by the weather.
Well, Thomas Florschutz returns to World Cup action. He got start draw number 1. Top 10 in the points go into a random draw. He'll start first ahead of Alexander Zubkov, who's undefeated this season. There's the remainder of the start draw. Beat Hefty, who won in the 2-man yesterday, is driving 4-man this season. He sort of does or doesn't as it takes his fancy. And 26 sleds on the start list. For the jury, this is going to be a really busy time. They want the race to be fair as much as humanly possible. Let's get this race underway then. The first sled, Thomas Florschutz with Andy Bredau, the giant Kevin Kuska, and Thomas Blaszek, Olympic silver medalist in the 4-man.
Well, he's either going to have a huge advantage or be a snowplow. So, you know, it's going to be tough to tell. Ooh, little variance there. They got to get in and get down and get settled. That speed is very important. I'm going to reference that start speed. There's a start time and then there's start speed. The 2 of them might not be the same. You could get in the sled wrong, and that could alter your start speed. So you have to get in with cat-like movements and sit down, and then the driver takes over.
See a lot of snow lying in the track, John, but there's so much weight in these sleds, it'll just run straight over the top of it.
Well, these big 4-mans, not like the 2-mans. 2-man's a little bit like a sports car. The 4-man's like a big Cadillac, big truck.
63 miles an hour, runners less than ½ an inch wide, grinding into the ice.
Good lines. Look at the wind blowing across the entrance to the finish. 135, that's pretty fast. 84 miles an hour. That's good speed on a track that's pretty snowed in.
Yeah. Well, the good news for these athletes is that it was very cold the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
The ice very hard, so it'll hold up well.
Look at the wind blowing left or right. And most importantly, when Florschutz got to the bottom, his visor was clean. So there's no visibility issue for the athletes. Watch him get in. Guy on the right, get in, get down. Now watch the arm movement here, too. Watch the arms come up. Well, they cut us there, but here's the fastest part of the track. 84 miles an hour right here into that takeout of the finish. The articulation on the sled really has to work well down there in curve 11 and 12.
It sure does. Now then, here is our World Cup 4-man champion from last season, and he's going a long way towards claiming that title again this year. Alexander Zubkov, unbeaten so far this year in the 3 races we've had. Kaylee Humphries kept the women's bobsleigh streak alive, winning her 4th race yesterday.
5:16 start. They should match that or get better. This team has been together. Florschutz team's like an all-star team that they put together. 5:13 and no variance, no little skid. 63.2. He's a half a kilometer better than Florschutz. Remember, I mentioned I thought Florschutz after curve 1 had a little skid. He's up to 10 already. Really important here with Arrow. Ooh, there's a skid. You saw the runners playing there, so he had a little extra pressure on the exit of 3. Up to 14.90. He's got a half a kilometer again on Florschutz. I think that mistake up at 3.4 is going to cost him, but you wouldn't know with the speed. Wow, 102.1. He's online here big time.
Well, he looked so strong in the 2-man yesterday. Took the silver medal.
He's just flying here.
Yes, he is. 2/10 up. Track record is 54.54. He's going to get down inside 55. He doesn't quite. Trust me, that is good in these conditions. Just half a second away from the track record with this snow.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, the reference right off the bat, everything is that speed in the entrance to curve 1. Florschutz at 62.8. Zubkov 63.2, a half kilometer better. But here, look at him get over to the right side. He taps here. Now watch him come in this curve. He came in here late because he tapped going in. Comes up late. Now watch the runner tips. He's struggling to keep the sleds in the back end of the sleds a little bit of a skid. That's probably his only mistake. His key, though, his athletes got in and get down before curve 1. They had the speed into curve 1 and the speed in the bottom part of the track.
Next up, Stephen Holcomb of the USA, our 2-man and 4-man world champion. He won here last in December 2009 in a 4-man.
So the night train should be in the 5:14, 5:15. Push bar, ooh, late. 5:12, good.
5:12, big start.
Speed, 63 what? 63.2, same as the Russians.
So he's got a slender lead over Zubkov.
But he had 100th better start time than the Russians and the same speed. So that's why that's only 1. So probably next clock, that'll be red numbers. He's got the same problem. Same problem there. So that's 2 consecutive sleds come down. There's that red number I talked about. 95.4. That's not as good a speed as the Russians at all, half a kilometer down. So Zubkov really is winning these races up top. Variance there at 9. 101, he's not online at all with the Russian, with the speed. Still a good run. 1700s off, 134.6. He's down by 8/10 in the speed. Through and down, 3rd best time, 2200s down. He's 300s behind Florschutz. Not a good run for the night train. Again, I talk about that speed. Zubkov has won all his races at the top of the track. He's got that brand new sled, and every race that we've covered, he's beating people up top of the track. Now watch Holcomb get over on the right side of our screen. He goes in here a little late, and watch the sled come up. Same thing Zubkov did. He's got to adjust, and like the back end of the sled comes out. I mean, it was almost a mirror to what Zubkov did.
Slid just a fraction longer, another couple of meters will have taken away 100th or 2. At the moment, Alexander Zubkov leading this race. Next up, Oskars Melbardis, Damas Dreskins, and Arvis Vilkasta Intars Dambis, the crew of this Latvian sled. We've just seen a couple of starts in the teens, the very low teens. Will they be able to rip off an even quicker start? We're going to get down into single figures, maybe.
Nah, I think we've seen our start times. I think the 5:12, we might see a 5:11. These guys aren't as proficient at the start in 4-man as they are in 2-man. Yesterday, they punched out the best start times, but in 4-man, he probably 16 or 17. Oh, can't get in. They got some problems getting down. Does it 5:06. But watch the speed. 62.9. They had a 600s better speed.
The problem is,
but
all the way down into corner one, the guys were stood up.
I mean, that's bobsled 101. You don't want the best start time. You want the best speed after curve one. And these guys just proved that you just can't push. You also have to get in. So now he's going to really start to fall off. Even though those numbers, he's even now, 95.5.
Well, that's decent speed, quicker than Holcomb.
But he should drop back a little bit. Tap, there's 500s now, but he's still
quicker than Holcomb.
Yep.
Better speed. He is lying in second place to Alexander
a little high there in
Zubkov.
10. Now watch him down here. These labyrinths. Late 12, bang there. 134.3. Now he's slower than Holcomb, but he might have enough to be second. He got third.
Just third by 200ths of a second and 100th in front of Holcomb. So that's Florschutz, Melbardis, and Holcomb. 3 sleds covered by 300ths of a second.
Bobsledding at its best. Zubkov, he's
2/10 clear.
Yeah, he's. Look at the problems they have here. Now they get in. Now watch. He's got to get in with a team.
Left of your picture, he doesn't quite get his leg in. Look.
Oh, his foot. He didn't get his look. His foot wasn't on there properly, and he couldn't. He didn't get his body in at all there. Then when they shake the sled left to right, and that causes the speed deficiency.
The other thing is, look at the frontal area. Yeah. It's not just the nose of the sled. You got all these tall guys stood up.
And they're going in around the first curve. They're trying to get down, and that's what shakes the sled left to right. And then here he taps a take on, getting in. You know, but Melbardis, that's a good run for him.
That's a good run. Oh, straight off the top, Lyndon Rush of Canada, beg your pardon, Chris Spring of Canada. Tom Delahunty was telling me just before the start, they're under instructions. The moment they get the green light, go.
Bang. 62.2.
5:21 start.
62, doesn't matter what start. 62.2, that's, you know, he's a full kilometer down to Zubkov.
Well, a couple of rattles on the wall will
you want to see some aerodynamic problems? Look at the number 2 guy or 3 guy. He's way up. Look at the guy. Slid around. He doesn't fit in this sled.
No, I'm saying he's sitting on his teammate, not in front of his
Watch
teammate.
the way they head back and forth. There's a problem here, the way he's sitting in that sled, and the coaches will address that. Next time we see Chris Spring, maybe not in this week, but next week I bet he's sitting better in an aerodynamic profile.
Well, John, they were on the hurry up to get away from the blocks immediately, and that puts added pressure on. I just don't think they got in cleanly.
I don't know. That's his. We won't see anybody that uncomfortable coming down the track as we see the guy riding number 3 here.
Yeah.
Ben
Coquel, yeah, he's sticking out.
I wonder if they'll talk about it, but you know, because that's as bad as you could ride in an aerodynamic presence. That's a good video of how not to do it.
But I'm guessing that Adam Rozenki in the back actually had Coquel sitting on his legs.
You know, they used to say those guys that ride in the back were like sandbags. Not in this day and age of the sport. The guy in the back, you can't see, you're supposed to see those guys.
Yeah.
Not only aren't seeing them, the heads are slapping back and forth, and that's, you know, negative energy.
What would have been good is to see a replay of the start to see how they didn't get in.
Well, I think that's just the way they're sitting in that sled. There's no,
because they weren't like that last week. Well, next up, Lyndon Rush of Canada. Again, the moment the buzzer goes, they are going to hit it out of the blocks. No point in waiting around to allow the snow to fill those grooves. Had a great run to bronze in the 2-man yesterday and had a really strong run in the team's competition. Saves it without hitting the wall.
62 and change. 62 and a half. He's already 3/4 of a kilometer down. And, you know, I hate to keep bringing that up, but I mean, there's also all sorts of stats that you use. You know, the first pitch strikes in baseball, the yards after catching in football, the greens in regulation in golf, here in bobsledding. That tells us everything about what's coming on for the driver on the way down the track. And if you can't get that start and get that start velocity, it's pretty tough to pick it up on the way down.
Decent speed here, though, 101.1.
That's rough at 9. Oh, watch out here.
Late.
That's very late, and he gets through there. His late was in 11. He struggled, and this is not a good run.
No, neither Canadian sled really having a good first heat, and there may not be
good day yesterday for Canada.
Yeah, very good day.
They won the team competition. Lyndon Rush had the best time in the men's two-man. Kelly Humphreys had the best time in women's scout or women's bob, and of course Kelly Humphreys won again in women's bobsled. But today, not a good day. Here's 9. He's up in no man's land above that certain mark, and watch the sled flop. Now it's in a skid. He's coming to the middle part of it. Look how he's way over on the wrong side. So he's late on this curve. If you're late here, that's what happens. Look at the articulation of that Eurotech sled. You know, at 82 miles an hour, I'm glad we're sitting here.
Yeah, me too. Next up, Max Arndt to Germany. Alex Mann, Alex Rödinger, and Martin Putzer, the crew. Another well-drilled team.
Well, I expect this German team to get in, get down quick. They practice on this track. Watch how quickly they're in it.
To earn something in this job.
He's got a real perfect though. Look at he is so far. The speed is huge.
Up. Speed is better than the race leader.
They all had that team at the start. They all got in and got down before curve 0 perfectly. They had the great speed. He's carrying it here. He's lost a little bit back.
Still ahead. Still got good speed. Zubkov was 135 at the bottom.
It's going to be close. 134.7. I think Zubkov's going to get him. 1 or 2 hundredths difference.
100th in front, and that might be enough to be the race winner here.
Hey, you want to go to Bobsled 101? You want to see how to get in and get down on a sled? These guys did it perfectly. They didn't have the same start as Zubkov. They had a 200 slower start, but they only had a 1/10 kilometer slower speed. So that means they got in the sled with total efficiencies at the start.
It's about momentum, this sport, and he carried it from the top all the way to the bottom.
Some solid lines, a little here. But the start is where he won that, where he got to that position. He's in the lead because of his start team. Look at the coach congratulating him. They should congratulate all the 3 push-outs.
Oh, he is as well. He knows very well.
Sepp Planza, the Director of Sport for the FIBT. He's checking out the track.
USA's Nick Cunningham, his World Cup rookie season, 5th in the World Cup standings. If you told him that before Christmas he'd be in the top 5 in the world, he would probably have just smiled and thought you're a bit of a fantasist. But what a season he's having so far.
Well, they've had really good start times. See if they get in, get down quick.
Neat, tidy,
5:24. Not like they had in North America.
What about the speed, though? 62.5. That's the same.
62.4. They had better start times in North America. They were right there with Holcomb, and now they're 0.10 back.
But again, this is a long start that goes downhill steeply. Maybe they just don't deal with that quite as well.
They're also dealing with a different sled.
Indeed.
You know, it's a Latvian sled. It's the LTC sled. And, you know, might be a little unfamiliar with them getting in and out of it. 101.
And not decent speed.
We keep track of the speeds in this course because you can really tell it all. 134.7, that's the same as Arndt.
Top 6 run. This is ahead of the 2 Canadian sleds. 6th position for Nick Cunningham.
That's okay for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
His I would say that start is what I'm suspicious of because, and Lyndon Rush's start too.
Yeah.
24. Very, very surprised.
Well, again, you know, John, if you catch a gust of wind, that can take a 1/10 of a second out of your start.
Yeah, look at the runner tips. Look at the hey, we don't see any heads bouncing around back there. You see these guys perfectly aerodynamically presenting themselves, especially into the finish there. Good lines. Look at that. You can barely look at this. you can only see the driver's head.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be at, 84 miles an hour.
Exactly right.
Tied for third best speed for Nick
very
Cunningham.
Dang it.
Uh-oh.
Couple of mistakes, but in a big four-man on a tight course like this, you'll always get them. Next up, Manuel Mahata, another well-drilled crew. Gregor Birnbach, Christian Friedrich, and Christian Poser.
Again, the Germans should be a blueprint. In and down quickly, push bars, boom, down, no skid. 5, not a very good start in a tap, 62 and change speed, 63. He did all he could do to get a 63 speed there.
Good momentum.
Now, I don't think he's got a chance to challenge because he's got the deficient start time. Next clock, it probably will go to where 17 or 18. Plus another tap there. Not good, Manny. Yeah. Bleeding profusely. Not been a good season so far. I've just said his start times have... when he was winning, he had decent starts. Doesn't matter what he does down here. He might get back 400 or 500s, but boy, one of those German athletes behind him are really rolling back and forth.
He's throwing it off the corners as well, so they're getting bounced around a lot. That's a rough ride from Manuel Mahata.
That's not very good.
And don't forget, this is the young prodigy who came into the World Cup, 2 seasons ago, won his first ever four-man race. No, he's not.
He had start times though. He had he had the start times.
No,
so if he had a fight, the 6th best start, he finished 6th. If he would have had a 1800s better, 1800s better would have put him in. Let's see, tied for 2nd.
Well, out of corner 1, dink on the wall.
That's
that
a mistake.
Really doesn't help.
That's a mistake. And he hit out of curve 4 too. So this is not the performance we saw out of Manuel Mahata. Look at the team. You could just read their body language.
Cast, aren't they? Well, starts are so important here, and John Jackson of Great Britain has really proved that this season. The team have just revitalized themselves with some excellent starts. Now, because of injury, we've got Andy Matthews making his World Cup debut on the back of the sled. There he is. He joins Jacko, Stu Benson, and Bruce Tasker in the GB1 sled.
Now, we just saw a bunch of good teams come down and get in the sled quickly and get around the first curve. Let's see how these British do. It's like an all-star team. Good start.
Again, it's not rocket science.
Speed,
Big
63
starts.
flat, that's decent. That's, we didn't expect that type of performance. I mean, when you put new guys in the team like this, that tells you Britain's got some athletes even in the backup squad.
10th off the lead, 5th in Whistler, his career best last time out. He needs a really solid run here. This might be the only heat of the race.
That speed
5th place at the moment, 95.3, just a fraction behind the German sleds.
Oh, there's a lot of movement in the back there. I don't know, I think it's 3-man, 101. Ooh, that's not good. Clean.
Still top 6.
Middle. Good. Speed's decent. Better than the Germans.
Mahata, yeah. Hold it together, Jacko. Top 6 finish, he does. Ahead of Manny Mahata.
They're happy. You told me you'd be surprised they got in the top 10.
Well, you know, you put a new man into the sled, even though Andrew's at 4, and that's perhaps the easiest to get in, it changes the dynamic.
Listen to him.
Yeah.
They got to be happy with that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You high-five a bobsledder at your peril when you're 10, they can take your hand off.
When they get out of the sled, they're all pumped up like
yeah.
that. You want to give a bobsledder a high five at the bottom, you better watch out, because they're going to have some spring into their... look at the push bar. You see that?
That shows you the violence of the corners, doesn't it?
Yeah, 11, 12 down there.
So Max Arndt leads, Alexander Zubkov in 2nd with 17 sleds still to come. Well, John, look, this is what comes behind the snow, the wind, and that's what can make a difference to your run, whether you want it to or not. And Rico Pater here had better hope that he gets a little bit of a break in the weather, because if you're running into a gale, it can really just act like a parachute.
Rico Pater had a pretty good first run yesterday, not a very good second run. Let's see the start. The push bars are still out as they go around. 62 middle, probably 62.1. Probably the worst speed we've seen. So, you know, one thing is to have that 11th best start time and then to have that no speed. Now,
Well, he's only the 11th sled, so that might end up being maybe the 25th start time by the time the whole field has gone down. It wasn't a quick getaway.
No, he did good yesterday in the first run. We were all thinking, wow, top 7, top 8. Then he came down with like the 14th best time of the run in the second heat and fell out of the top 10. But young Swiss pilot taking the place of Baumann. Ooh, this is late.
Whoa!
Got through there. Not bad. Good speed.
Yeah, very good.
Whoa,
that's
the best speed so far. The track still has speed. Whoa! Again, anytime you start with an 11th best start time and finish 8th, you drove well.
Yeah.
If you have the, like Mel Bardis, you have the best start time and you finish 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's anytime you can improve your start and your finish time, you're doing well.
Well, they look pretty happy with that, and rightly so. Max Arndt leads from Alexander Zubkov and Thomas Florschutz, Oscar's Mel Bardis, Stephen Holcomb, and John Jackson, the top 6. So John Jackson of Great Britain lying in 6th place. Dmitry Abramovich at the top of the track for Russia. This is Russia 2, the 24-year-old from Moscow. There's the Russian skeleton and bobsled team still here at the top. And Dmitry making his World Cup debut for the season here.
He used to medal 2008-9 season on the World Cup Tour as Russia 2, junior world champion, I think in 2007 or 8. Boy, he didn't look good there, but decent speed. 4th best start time. Whoa! Yeah. Russians, this is the first time we've seen him in a couple of years. Look at this.
Well, Alexander Kasyanov and Nikita Zakharov came to North America.
That's bad.
But Pierre Lude is swapping the teams around. They've gone down to the Europa Cup, and he's now up into the World Cup. Just 900ths of a second off the lead.
Yeah, this looks like a decent run if he holds it together down at 9. 101.5 is not bad speed. That's
driving himself
really
into 4th place at the moment. Could he end up in the medals?
I think this sled is flying on the bottom part of this track. He's going to probably beat Holcomb.
134.2. Could he be top 3? It's going to be very close indeed. No, drifts right away to 6th place.
Still, with all the mistakes he made in that run, driving down, that's not bad. Watch out. The Russians now have 2 start teams.
Yeah.
Both Zubkov started the 3rd best start. Abramovich, the 4th best start.
Yeah.
And this guy's got talent. Again, junior world champion a couple years ago. Look at a lot of shoulders back there we're seeing in the number 3 and 4 guy. I think the 4 guy's too big to be on the brakes.
Yeah, he's a monster.
He's a monster. Look at the heads here. Now watch the head slapping around. You can see the brakeman's helmet, number 2 guy's helmet. So they need some aerodynamic. It's not the aerodynamics, it's fitting the athletes in the sled better.
They need to be greased up better before they get in. There you go.
Well, also adjust the handles.
Yeah.
Some guys are 6'3", 6'5", 6'3", 6'2". I mean, all of a sudden, if there's a 5'11" guy in there, you have to alter the thing so everybody fits into that tight little bathtub.
Exactly. Next up for Austria, Jürgen Loacker. And after a bit of a disappointing run in the 2-man, extra muscle on the 4-man could help him to a decent start. If he can get down to mid-20s, he's got a chance of a good result here. Yeah,
see, they're still playing with the push bars around the first curve. That gives him as slow a start speed as you possibly can have. Yeah. He's got the 5:31 start, and this might as well be a taxi bob ride the rest of the way, if for the top 10. But, he is like Rico Peter. He is a guy that finds big-time speed in the bottom. It's just too bad. I mean, there's some decent speed there.
Very good speed. 95.7 is 59.5 miles an hour, still accelerating very hard. 102, that's very good speed as well. Nothing wrong with the speed of the sled.
Well, this tells you the track's still got something left in it.
Oh, yeah.
This is quick. Ooh, that's quick.
He's now inside the top 10. Again, very good speed at the bottom.
What I talk about starts and your finish time. Here he is, the 13th best start time. And he's got the 9th best down time. Yep. Driver's talent.
Yep.
So he gets a couple stars. Give him his start time. This guy could be competitive.
Yeah, stick a couple of monster Russians on the back of the sled. They'll fire him off like a catapult, and he'll be right up there.
Look at the feet coming down together. You know, you don't have to be a physicist to understand if all the feet are coming down together, that is more proficient for the exact thrust that you need. And then getting in, get down. Look at him, it's not easy. Now watch him, the push bar, his push bar comes down. This guy gets him in too late. This is a rookie in the back.
Yeah, thank you.
He didn't get him around that first curve.
Hello.
He didn't get him in. And when you go on the first curve reaching for push bars, you're going left to right.
Now to our 14th of 26 sleds. Bearing in mind the weather, this might be the only run for Justin Cripps. Jason Norton, Sam Giguère, and Jean-Nic Carrière.
Justin had a good day. It was a great start from this young Canadian team. But he threw it a lot of it away with that tap. Still great. Anybody getting that 63 kilometers is good. Justin Cripps had a very good day yesterday in one run. And that's what you expect out of rookies. Just, one run is good, one run is average. Most of the time it's bad. But when they start to put two runs together, that's when they start getting up near the podium. And this is a good athlete. Justin Cripps used to be in Lyndon Rush's team. And this kid's made some pretty good advancements.
Got a brand new brakeman, Sam Giguère, only arrived here on Wednesday, so it's his first ever World Cup race.
Well, here it's fast, 84 miles an hour. This is pretty quick, watch out. He's through there, no problem. This is a good run.
Good run, 133.7.
He might beat the other Canadian. He's over.
Top 10, oh, he is still in the top 10.
Yeah,
that is a classic Winterberg roll across the finish line.
They should catch the sled, bang. They've seen this act before in Winterberg.
Yeah, no kidding.
Athletes should be okay. They might have.
We've actually seen races won by a sled rolling out of the final corner. Bert Hefty did it a few years ago.
But that he let that sled get away from him there in the last 50 meters. He let the sled climb. But of course, he had a good run going, number one. I don't think that affected his time. I think he tipped over on the finish line, and I'm sure our guys will show that. Now watch the sled climb. See the runner marks? Look how high he is. He's above the other runner marks. He has to come down, centrifugal force. Now he's got to go back up. And this is when he goes, uh-oh. Now look at the hop, right? Here is the eye. Right there's the finish line. So I don't think that affected him.
Might have taken a fraction out, but still in 9th place.
Yeah, he beat both his teammates.
Yes, he did.
Upside down.
13th.
Boy, well that's
Spring 14th.
Well, there's the mechanic on the right. The mechanic on the right's going, oh, geez.
All the guys are out. Oh, well, Lyndon, Justin looks the one who's most beat up. Well, next up, our two-man winner from yesterday, Bert Hefty, Alex Baumann, Thomas Lamparter, and Jörg Egger are the crew.
Push bar.
Oh, ugly.
Speed, left, 62 and change. Yeah, Biet, I don't think he likes this format. He doesn't.
There's a massive fallout in the Swiss Federation last year because he refused to drive the 4-man. Sepp Plotzer, the coach, said, no, you're going to drive it. And the Federation then changed their minds and backed the athlete against the coach. That was the end of that relationship.
Sepp Plotzer is now the head of FIBT Sport Commission.
Switzerland's loss is our gain. But, a man with that
much good speed.
Great speed.
Well, these Swiss sleds are flying because Rico Peter had the best speed in the bottom part of the track. This is down to 14. This is, whoa, big speed. The top 4.
Third place. Wow. Why doesn't he drive the 4-man?
Well,
55.
That's the best. I mean, if you go back to Rico Peter, his start speed was ridiculous.
5:28, and was still faster at the bottom than Hefty was off of 5:17.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at the timer for Peter, the speed. I didn't have it in there.
Yeah.
He had 62.1. Here comes Hefty 62.7. He almost finds a way, but look at Peters. Look at the 2 Swiss sleds.
And floor shirts, all there.
The city of sleds are flying on this track, so The Swiss designers back there in Zurich are smiling.
Wait till the World Championships in St. Moritz. As the speeds escalate, they'll be right there. Well, next up, 16th of our 26 sleds, Edwin van Kalker, Arno Klassen, Sieben Jansma, and Yannick Greiner. And Edwin, with his hamstring tear from Whistler, took about half a dozen steps before climbing in yesterday in the two-man. May take less today because it takes him a while to get in the sled. Eight steps and in. Let the others run it off down the hill.
And there are they in time. The push bars are still out. Speed 62 and change. Yeah, low speed.
Well, bearing in mind he's got a hamstring tear, a 5:28 start, the same as Rico Pater, and quicker than Jürgen Loacker with a full healthy crew.
But I think Loacker and Peter are better drivers. But I will say this about this 6'6" Dutch guy. Look how low he's got his 6'6" frame in the sled. Oh, but look at the head behind him. You can't see that head slapping around left and right. That means he's not in a position to ride. He's riding like a sandbag. That's instead of feeling yourself down the track. And that makes some kind of a difference the way that athlete, the driver, comes on and off these curves at high speeds. You gotta have your guys in a good position.
Very good speed at the bottom, 134.2, drives himself into 15th place.
Yeah, he's not a Loacker with, being a speed merchant. He always wins races with great start times.
Well, think of the results. Yeah, this has been such a good track for the Dutch.
He is hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But think about this track. They've had top fours in two-man and four-man here. They've had some really, really rocking results at Winterberg.
Let's watch the heads here. Just take a look at the heads in these transitions. Look at the way the heads are just flopping around back there, and that's not good air. That means the air comes over the top of his helmet, goes out behind him. It's getting displaced, and that's not what you want when you're dealing with hundreds.
On top of the track now is the Italian sledder Simone Bertazzo. He's another athlete that never has the greatest of starts, but knows how to drive well. Samuele Romanini, Francesco Costa was in the two-man sled yesterday, and brand new brakeman this weekend, Luca Zazzera. So there's a few new men coming in now that we're in Europe.
Snow looks like it's coming in a little harder outside our broadcast booth. Makes us believe
we can't see out the window now, we've missed it up.
Again, how quickly are they going to get in, get down?
Well, a 5:28 would be a decent start here.
Not good.
Oh,
not good.
handles are out. They're wrestling themselves into the sled.
Look at that, the worst 61.8, first team under 62 kilometer speed. And, Bertazzo is a speed merchant, but there's no afterburners here. I mean, you're given the chance for the best start at the top of the track, which gives you the best opportunity for the best time at the bottom. If you eliminate the start time, then you got to be perfect on the way down, but there's no accelerator here. You just can't put your foot in the gas. Mother Nature will allow you to accelerate if you have all the other perfect variables involved.
And speed's coming up now, 62.8, that's actually very respectable. He could be up to 135s at the bottom.
Look at the wind.
134.
Yeah, look at the wind. Down there, 11, 12. 16th place, 17 sleds.
Yeah. Only Chris Spring behind him by 1/100th of a second. Well, now, normally we'd be getting to the stage where we're thinking about who is going to complete our top 20, because only 20 sleds will go through to a second heat.
Well, I say, first of all, they've run too far here. They should concentrate getting in quicker, to sit down quicker, to get around the first curve quicker. Look, their arms are out around first curve.
Well, that's Francesco Costa at 3, just cannot get himself into that sled.
They need about another 100 dry land.
Yeah.
In the dry land, practice loading the sled, because obviously those guys didn't do very good there.
Alexei Stulnev, his wife Olga, slides for the women's team. This is his first weekend ever in the World Cup for Russia. 24-year-old from Moscow, same age as Dmitry Abramovich, but started 2 or 3 years later. And he's got a crew of big, strong Russian brakemen behind him.
Well, we've seen two
very
Russian
quick.
teams very proficient. These guys look good too. Yeah, no tap. Their speed should be 62 and high. 62 high 9. There it is. Spec down that start time and their proficiency getting in the sled. So the Russians have been well coached.
And they're riding this sled well. Well, you know, some of these names, Denis Moishenkov, Alexei Kireev, Yuri Selikov, he's been going, you know, all these guys 6, 7, 8 seasons. Absolutely.
95.4 is decent speed.
Yes, it is. This is a top 10 run from the young Russian. Exactly what he did in the 2-man yesterday.
101.2, competitive. This is,
huge
big skid
slide.
there out of 9. Luck out. He might be late here. Watch out. No, he's good. So he made the mistake.
Danger's not over. Don't forget Lyndon Rush crashing out. I mean, a third Canadian side, wasn't it, crashing out of there? Justin Cripps, he gets down safely though. Well, that huge skid took him out of the top 10, John, down to 14th.
Well, I don't think it's, you know, plus they didn't stop the sled in the perfect spot. But here's 9. This is the personality of, look how low he gets. High, he's got to come back down. He's got to come back up, flop. Look at this, flops, hits the wood. Now it's like, now what do I do? Now, I mean, you can't get a 4-man sled in trouble, but when you do, you're lucky. He's lucky. Look at the wood. Yeah, back end of the runners hit the wood. That's the most hellacious ride we've seen so far through Curve 9.
That was one where the brakemen were praying silent prayers. Possibly not silent either. Next up, first 4-man World Cup start of the season for Serbia's Vuk Radjenovic, Laura Stegel, Nikolai Milinkovic, and Damien Zlatnar, who was on his 2-man sled in yesterday's race, the sled that he shares with his wife, Astrid Radjenovic from Australia.
So we're seeing snow, but there's a beautiful roof, beautiful start building they put up here in 2008. Look at how perfect it is for the athletes here. But then all of a sudden they have to go out.
Yeah.
And then once they go outside, it's suggested to get in, get down quick.
Well, the other thing, although the snow isn't falling on you, is the wind just blows straight up the track into your face. 5.30.
Doesn't have the worst start speed, the Italians did. But the 2015 World Bobsled Championships will return to Winterberg, Germany. Here, the only other time they hosted them was in 1995. It rained for 12 straight days, but it was unbelievable competition. And boy, they do a great job of organizing events here, I can tell you that.
Well, we had a bit of a rainy World Champs in Lake Placid a few years back, and that didn't stop the action being exciting. So, you know, it is an outdoor sport. Everybody understands that occasionally you'll get some weather.
He's handling very well. Ooh, late here, late. He carves his way through the finish. Decent speed.
Well, this is enough to put him into a second heat if there is one, just behind Edwin van Kalk of the Netherlands.
Boy, he beats Bertanzo in spring.
Yeah.
That is perplexing. Wow. I would have bet a lot of money that Chris Spring and Bertanzo would have beat Radjenovic.
There you go. He's getting better. He's got more experience, more practice in the sled.
Does that mean, though, that the sleds later might have a little bit of an advantage?
Well, again, it depends how the wind gets to you, I think. Max Arndt is our race leader from Alexander Zubkov by a whole 100th of a second. Baird Hefty lying in 3rd place ahead of Thomas Florschutz. The question is, with 19 sleds down and 7 still to come, are we going to get a second heat at the moment, John Morgan? I would think there's no reason why we wouldn't.
There's no visibility problems. The athletes have had no problems with the entrance to the sleds.
Let's see.
Team USA.
Corey Butner, like Nick Cunningham, a World Cup rookie in Europe. So new tracks to him.
Push bar, speed.
62.6 is good momentum off that start, though.
Yeah, but, you know, with I think Cunningham at a 63, Holcomb at 63.4, which was the
but Holcomb's team is starting in the teens, so, you know, from a 5.29, that's pretty decent momentum. He's in 14th place at the moment, off 17th best start.
Corey had more success so far this year with 2-man bobsled. Cunningham does more success with 4-man.
You heard the thump on the wall there.
Watch out here. Stay in that line. Watch your curve 9.
Uh-oh.
Watch out.
18th
now he's going to be late. Let's see him catch up. He's got to catch up here. does.
19th spot.
A lot of movement in the back of the sled, the number 4 guy. A lot of movement back there.
Okay, it all drifted away from him below the Kreisel. Top half of the track was pretty decent, picked up speed. Below the Kreisel, it all just kind of rattled its way slower and slower. 800ths of a second behind Chris Spring. He is in 20th place at the moment.
Get the lines pretty right in the track there. This tap on the right side of our screen throws him in the middle of the curve. Watch the sled come in the middle, and then
that was Pinball Wizard from 9 on down, John, and you just heard it there. One spot and we're out. They're in 20th place. There's Corey on the wall.
I believe the only team that could catch him would be the Dutch, De Bruin.
Well,
I don't think the other 4 teams can catch him.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes on. There's 6 more sleds. This is Poland's David Kupczyk again.
This team could catch him.
Made his World Cup debut for the season yesterday in the 2-man competition. Been racing in Europe up until now in the Europa Cup, the 2nd tier of sliding.
3-time Olympian.
You got to think that getting to Sochi will be his final hurrah. Kupczyk now in the mid-30s. That's your prime age as a driver.
Well, let's see how well coached the Polish are. Get in, get down quickly, guy. That guy on the left ran too far. Well, that was very good. Decent, 520 speed. 62, low 62. So that's about equal with that start time. They got in, got done. Very good. Obviously, very well coached team. Look at the riders now behind us. Do we see any shoulders back there? Yeah, we can see some 2 or 3 guy. We got to watch out what we say in these broadcasts because we hang out with these guys and they all come back and if you make any mistakes, they're quick to correct you because they watch the programs on our YouTube channel after the fact. And that's a rough ride. He's going to be in the middle here of 10, late. 11, no, he's smart enough to steer on 11 quickly. Yeah, he's a good driver.
Well, he was here a couple of weeks ago in the Europa Cup races where there was driving wind, rain, snow and everything else, and 60-odd crashes.
So that knocks, there's somebody that just knocked Corey Butner out. So now Chris Spring's in the bubble.
Yeah, and Simone Batazzo 19th. The Polish are in 18th place. And again, that experience here of racing in 2-man and 4-man, having a couple of races in each just a fortnight ago, that will really have helped.
Look at the transition here in 11 and 12. Watch the articulation of the sled. He comes off late. Watch the sled split. That articulation, you saw that sled split. The articulation allows the sled to get on the curve and get off the curve. You get on the curve in the take-on, you get off the curve in the outlet.
If it was rigid, these things would never make it down a track. They fly off.
They used to be planks in the 50s.
Yeah.
Then the Americans brought this event, the sled into a tower sled that articulation in it. The next year, Oscar Deandra Podar started building articulated sleds for a guy named Eugenio Monti.
Well, we've just seen David Kupczyk of Poland make it into the race. Can his younger teammate Maciej Luti do the same? There'll be a bit of jubilation in the TV truck if he does. 2 Polish sleds in the top 20.
Luti, the less experienced of the 2 Polish pilots. See them get down quick. Not as good as their teammates. Way off the pace. Maybe 61.5, 61.4, yeah, speed. And now, the critique monsters that you and I are, we can see that number 2 or 3 man's head all over the place.
Yeah.
You can see him. He's big as life there.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Rafael Clef up 2.
Who was the person we saw, the Canadians, Chris Spring sledges. You can look at the way the guy in the black helmet's riding. I mean, he's not even comfortable. He has his hands, they show the replay on that, he's got his hands behind the driver. Uh-oh, that was a bad line. He's got his hands behind the driver, not around the driver.
Now, normally, the legs will go around the driver as well, but some drivers can't deal with that. It might be that the guy at 2 is riding what they call cannonball with his knees tucked up in his chest.
His knees aren't there, but his hands are not. His hands are holding the handle behind the driver. I find that strange.
Yeah, that makes him sit more upright. Normally you lean right forward and grab a handle on the rail on the floor.
They show us in the Kreisel. They show us a picture of the Kreisel. I'm sure we could show you.
Yeah.
We could figure out what they did there. But.
Well, there he is. And again, the black helmet, not like the rest of the team. I wonder whether he's a newer guy in the team. He's sitting right up there.
Look at that little
skid coming onto the Kreisel. We've seen a few of those. So Matej Luti in 22nd place will not get a second run. At the moment in 20th spot is Chris Spring, Canada 2. This is Michael Cerizet, Sebastian Thuir, Luna Van Dorn, and new brakeman Cornel de Blok. I was chatting to Michael de Zutter, who you remember crashed with Cerizet in the North American leg, broke his collarbone. He's here.
Look at the marks on his uniform.
Yeah.
That's spike marks or crash marks.
Those are crash marks. Mikhail just wanted to say thanks to everybody for their support.
He's a great guy, really good promoter of the team, and he's done a great job for the Belgian program and being well organized. I mean, you know, he's not dealing with a full deck of cards compared to the other programs. He gets the most out of it.
Well, we say this all the time, you know, everybody's in this sport for the love, not the money, because God knows there's no money in it. And these guys are just as passionate about what they do as the guys at the top of the leaderboard.
And look at the helmet, you know, give the team credit. 2, 3, and 4 are tucked in there. Very nice.
This is a nice looking ride.
Look at that line.
This might end up putting him in the top 20. 22nd at the start. He's 21st now on the split times. 100.7 kilometers an hour. He's getting close. This might push
that's late.
Chris Spring out of the race. No, back down to 22nd place, rattling around.
Yeah, little problem on the bottom.
Not going to get a second heat, I'm afraid. Oh, no,
wrong clock.
Right,
That's wrong.
Okay, something got into the eye of the lens there.
Uh-oh, they've got a backup timing system.
Yeah. So it's not a 54.97 because that would have put him from 22nd into the lead.
Did you see it here? 54.9. There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
Well, they will readjust the timing system. But he was 22nd coming into the final corner. I don't think he had enough speed to make a difference.
A little late there in 10 into 11, which causes some stress and causes you to really grab that D-ring and pull it. Get off that curve, bounces before the take-on.
Well, you know, again, these drivers know that they're responsible for the guys behind them. They don't worry so much about their safety.
We might have a little pause here.
Down at the bottom in the black jacket with his arm tucked inside, you'll see fellow brakeman Michael de Zutter. And he said to me this morning, he said, please can you say thanks to everybody who supported him on Twitter, on Facebook, and all the physios. There he is. So it's been great. He hopes to be back just after Christmas from a broken collarbone. Yikes.
Going to cause some problems here.
Yeah.
They got to adjust the clocks. They still have the... Looks like the bottom clock is the one affected.
Something triggered the finish line.
Well, here's Mother Nature. We had 3 sleds to go, and it just came in. And
that's just the way.
Well, they've adjusted it. Now it's 58.07.
There you go.
23rd best time, so we can move on, but they've got a little... His start time says 58.07 on our clocks, but we can live with that.
Yeah, that'll do nicely.
So now I think we should be ready to get up to the track, top of the track for our Czech team that
Well, they had a crash in yesterday's race, didn't they, in the 2-man? Vladimir Ladik making his World Cup debut. His team, Milos Vesely, Martin Bowman, and the brakeman who was rolled over yesterday, Dominic Dvorak. Well, as we saw with Justin Cripp's rookie brakeman, Samuel Giguère, he is now a fully blooded bobsledder. They say you're not a real bobsledder until you've been crashed, John.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Helmets. Everything.
Now they're weighing them, even though they're 23rd place. They're weighing. They probably weighed every sled.
So here we go then, reset, 3 to go. Vladimir Ladik of the Czech Republic, like the two that will follow him, trying to bust into the top 20. A new pilot, but with experience of this Winterberg track. So this is his World Cup debut in 4-man, John. How will it go?
Well, just get in, get down, get around the first curve, give yourself a chance. Now they're still playing around. Speed, you know, they didn't get below 62. Hovering right around that point. Skid. Yeah, this sled got way faster than... There's another skid. The sled was way faster than his ability yesterday when he crashed 11 and 12. But, of course, he practiced all week long in warm weather. And all of a sudden they came out and there's record speeds all over the place for everybody's posted personal best yesterday.
And of course, for the most experienced drivers, they got the best chance of handling it. The guys that have only been sliding a year or two are less likely to be able to react to it.
Yeah, he's much better with 4-man. Don't know if it's going to be enough for a top 20 run.
Decent trip, 22nd place.
Just missed.
Yeah.
1200s, he just missed that spot. Chris Spring still on the bubble.
Yeah, just about breathing. Chris Spring in 20th place. It only takes one decent run, and Vladimir Ladik very nearly had it.
Als nächstes startet der Bob aus den Niederlanden.
Little highlight there, you see the heads rocking around. That shows the violence of these sleds.
Good attitude for somebody who's upside down yesterday. Give him credit.
Absolutely. Well, here is the big threat to Chris Spring, no question. Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands, Terry Krijthoff, Bror van der Zijde, who was in the 2-man with him yesterday, and Timothy Beck.
Name from the past.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have no headshots. He hadn't been around in 3 years. They brought, of course, he's not far from his house.
Exactly. Well, Timothy Beck started as a brakeman for Ant Glass, who's also visiting this weekend. Retired, what, 4 years, Arndt?
Not bad.
62.5, that's good momentum as well. You know,
better than middle of the pack.
This is a team with a lot of potential and not that much experience, so he's only going to get faster and better.
He's got a good attitude.
Yeah.
Skid there, though. 4, where you want the sled to start to rocket.
John, he's in 12th place at the moment.
So Chris Spring is watching this video intensely. He's the man on the bubble. Ooh, that's the wrong side of 9. Now this is where he's got to get through this. Very good.
16th spot.
But he might be steering too much.
This could still be a top 20 run. Hang on to it.
No speed on the bottom part of the track, though.
This could just be enough. It is. Chris Spring is out, and he is in 19th place. There's Coach Nicky Minicello.
They'll be happy with that run.
Yeah. Well, the first half you'll be very happy with. The bottom half, yeah, a lot of work to be done still. But yeah, in the race.
15th best start, 19th best finish. That'll tell you. Could have improved a little bit. The start was pretty decent. He should be happy with bringing Timothy Beck in. And like an all-star guy, provide a pretty good team effort.
Well then, you know, by the time they got to the top of the Kreisel, he'd driven themselves into 12th place.
That was
down
rough
the bottom
there.
though, yeah.
He had no speed. He had 2 or 3 kilometers less speed than most sleds. And he's very lucky to be in that second run.
Yeah, did a good job.
He got in the second run because of the decent start time and speed at the top of the track.
And our final sled of 26 is Andy Niagu, Marion Jorga. Another brand new brakeman arrived just on Wednesday, Danut Stancu and Danut Moldovan, who was in the 2-man sled yesterday for Romania. And the Romanians have been racing in Europe so far this season. We hadn't seen any of them up until now. And we've got Romanian athletes in all 5 disciplines now.
Well, one thing about the Romanians, they got a bunch of all-star uniforms in this.
Yeah.
They do so much with so little. These Romanian athletes, they bring it up every time we talk. Look at the speed. Give them credit. 62.4 is not a bad speed for a sled with this type of experience.
Well, of course, Andy will have started his career driving here. This is where the family live. His dad, Paul, who's the coach, runs the taxi bob service here, so...
He's probably going to be doing a lot of taxi bob drives himself.
Yeah, he may well have more trips down this track than any other driver.
You know, he's got decent speed right there, 95.2.
If he's going to make a debut and try and break into the top 20 anywhere, this is the place to do it.
He's doing it.
22nd at the start. He's 14th on the splits.
He's doing great. This is great.
Good speed as well at the bottom.
Wow.
That is a great run. There you go.
The Romanians might have something here. That's impressive. You know, I was pretty shocked. Listen to him. Hey, everybody should applaud this effort right here. This is awesome.
Well, you know, what a great place to make his debut, a place where he grew up, where, as you said, you know, he probably drives taxi bobs most days of the week. And it's a four-man, of course, the taxi bob, not a two-man. So this is what he has been doing for years, even though we haven't seen him in World Cup racing.
22nd best start, 14th best finish. They get in, get down. Well, here's the guy, though.
Yeah.
There's the best team getting in, get down.
Well, he leads by 1/100th of a second after the first of our two heats here. Ben Hefty lies third. Jawohl, indeed, Christoph Langen loving that run from Max Arndt. And Max with a point to prove after being DQ'd yesterday without even completing his second heat. So Max Arndt, the leader, that is your top 10. Look behind Bert Hefty. How tight is that down to Dimitri Abramovic? Jacko in 8th position for Great Britain. He's got a battle on his hands to hold off Manny Bahata. And Justin Cripps rolled across the finish line into 10th place. What a great run he had.
Look at the Romanians.
Romania 14th, tied with rookie Stulnev, and Ivo de Bruyne rounds out the top 20. That means the 6 that do not get a second heat include Simone Bertazzo, Chris Spring, and Corey Butner. Well, that's it. One of two heats done in a snowy Winterberg. Join the Snow Angels and the rest of us snow-blown beasts for the second heat. John Morgan and I will return live with lots more action.